G'day, Callum from PSI Filters here. Quick demonstration on replacing all 5 cartridges on your 021 5RM system or in the HA model as well, so it'll be very similar in the HA system. So you've got 5 filters on the system. Sediment pre-filter in the far left there. Center one is your carbon pre-filter, and this one here is your remineralizing cartridge. The larger horizontal one is your membrane and your carbon paste filter in the top there. So to begin with, you'll need a couple of things, a couple of tools. So 17mm open-ended ring spanner. They'll be for undoing the fittings either side of your carbon paste filter there. Screwdriver, or you can use pointy nose pliers. That'll be used for getting the membrane out of the housing. They can be quite difficult to remove. A couple of spanners, so housing spanner, undoing your 3 vertical housings there. That will be for there. Membrane housing spanner. We typically supply these not with the system but with the replacement membrane. So if you order a membrane from us, we supply that one with that, and that's to go on to the membrane cap. So the membrane cap is where you'll expose the membrane, remove it and put your new one in. And a bit of thread tape. So a bit of thread tape applied to these 2 fittings on your carbon paste filter. Normally 2 wraps is more than sufficient on that one whenever replacing it. So to begin with, turn the in-feed supply water off. That will be attached to the blue tube feeding back to your mains water. So quarter turn that ball valve. That will isolate the system so no more incoming water can be delivered to the filter system. Turn your storage tank off, so quarter turn clockwise on that one. That will isolate the storage tank so it can't feed any more water to the system. And then open your faucet on your kitchen sink on, and that will drain any pressure out of the system, making it easier to work on your system. So to begin with, grab your housing spanner, undo your 3 vertical housings to begin with. So just slide that one on there, give it a turn, turning clockwise, middle one, and remineralizer. So I've just cracked those open. So undo that one. So these will be full of water. For the demonstration, there's no water in the system. Sediment filter. And your remineralizer. So remove your remineralizing cartridge. That one there. So undo the cap on this one. Pour the old material out. Make sure you keep the foam pad that is in the top of this one. So put that one off to the side. Pour your old material out. Pour your new material in, which is typically we supply it in a bag ready to go. So I've got an empty remineralizing cartridge here, or a refillable cartridge here. So what I'll do is fill it up. 1 kilo is the required amount for that cartridge. So tap that one down. Keep tapping. Then put your foam pad back inside the cartridge. And now it's beneficial if you can pre-flush this cartridge before you put it into the system. So put it underneath the kitchen tap. Just trickle a bit of water through it until that water clears out through the bottom and runs clear. So you just put the foam pad in the top there. That'll hold the material in the cartridge from escaping. Once clear, put your cap on, screw it all the way home. Drop down into your housing, just make sure O-ring's in good condition, seated in the groove. Drop that one into there and screw your housing back on. Just hand tight is sufficient. There we go. Sediment filter, so remove your old one, throw that one away, grab your new one out of the packet. Same thing, make sure the O-ring's seated, good condition. Does help if you can put some silicone grease onto the O-rings each time. Drop that one into there. Just stand it in vertical position. It's easier to centralise the cartridges back into the system. So screw that one up. Just hand tight is sufficient. Now moving on to your carbon cartridge. Throw the old one away, new one in. Check the O-ring, reapply silicone grease if required. And screw that one all the way home, just hand tight, and you're good to go. So we'll move on to the membrane next. So this is just a quick connect in the end of the membrane cap. So remove the locking clip here, 2 fingers either side of the tube. Depress the collet back towards the fitting and pull on the tube at the same time and it should release. They can be a little bit hard to deal with, but 2 fingers either side of the tube, depress the collet, push it back towards the fitting and it should release. This is where you need the membrane housing spanner. So slide that onto the membrane housing. With your opposing hand, grab onto the end of the membrane housing just to steady it and undo that cap. And unscrew that. A lot of the time the O-ring will drop down into the membrane cap. So that O-ring, just remove that one, check the condition, reapply silicone grease if required, and put that O-ring back onto the landing of the membrane housing. So that one sits on there. You'll notice the membrane is inside here. It has a hole in the side of it for removing from the housing. Easiest way is a screwdriver into that hole in the side and then prise back on the membrane housing in a lever motion, and that should release. And throw that one away. Grab your new membrane out of its packet. Does help if if you do have some silicone grease, just to apply it on the 2 O-rings on the end of the membrane housing, the membrane itself, and insert double O-ring first into the housing all the way home and push until flush. Grab your membrane cap, screw that one on until it's hand tight. You're good to go. Reinsert your tube and put your locking clip back on the fitting if it is a quick connect fitting. Okay, so that one's done. So moving on to your carbon post filter. That one's every 12 months. Undo the 2 fittings either side. Can be done in situ. So remove that one. Undo the other side. Remove your carbon post filter from the system. Grab your new one. Just sit it up on there. A couple of wraps of thread tape on either fitting. So both sides, 2 wraps is more than sufficient. And take note of the flow direction. So from right to left is the flow direction on the carbon post filter. So screw your fitting back in and grab your 17mm open-ended spanner, tighten that one up, just nip it, grab your other side, screw that one in. No need to remove either of the tubes out of the fittings, they will spin freely. Just nip that one up and clip that down into your mounting clips, and you've changed a full set of cartridges. So just to recap, your sediment filter, your carbon pre-filter and your carbon post filter, they're all 3 of these ones are every 12 months. So your remineralizing cartridge is every 2 years. So some years it will not apply, that you need to carry out replacing that. And same with the membrane being every 4 years. So that won't be required every single year. Now that you've replaced all 4 cartridges, your faucet is still in the open position. So all you need to do now is turn the in-feed water supply back on, open your storage tank back to the open position. Water will start flowing out through the system. It'll go through the carbon post filter and out to your tap very quickly. The tank will empty and then it will slow to a dribble again. Basically, at this point, once you've slowed to a dribble, the system is full, and what you need to do there is then turn your faucet back off, let the system fill up again. So fill up the storage tank, which will take around 45 minutes to an hour. Let it fill. After that hour, open your kitchen's filtered water tap again. Let it run until it slows to a dribble. That'll take 2 to 3 minutes for that to happen. Turn the faucet back off and repeat that process a second time. And what that will do will flush any of the carbon fines, preservative out of the membrane, and get all the system flushed ready for drinking. So once you've flushed those 2 full tankfuls, you're good to go. So it'll take a process of a couple of hours to get the system in good working order again, and that's about it. So that pretty much covers everything on the 5RM. It's by far our most popular system, and that's about it. Cheers. Thanks.